Hey, friends and loved ones. Welcome to a new Say It Loud podcast. I'm your host, Matt Jones, and along with Fair City Fire, we're welcoming Vicoda to the show this week. This one came about super last minute. So Vicoda are from Denver. They were on a massive tour of one day to Austin. It was a fantastic show. They played together with Fair City Fire at Mohawk, and we liked them so much, we asked them to come on the podcast the next day, literally hours before their flight was to leave. Shivani, their lead singer, was unable to make it, but we called her in. We were super psyched about that. They taught us about the Denver music scene. They were telling us about how this band formed. Super unlikely. They've come from all parts of the country. They're now all together in Denver. They're really just getting going, but they sound incredible live. They spent the 4 days in Austin, obviously playing an awesome gig, but just coming together as a family, which means getting drunker together than they've ever been before. Check them out at vicodaband.com and check out their 3 singles on Spotify. They actually have a new single called Storms, which is going to be coming out very soon. Super stoked for that. This was the biggest podcast we've ever done. There was 9 people in a room that's really not big enough for 9 people, but we made it work. We really had fun. And check out Fair City Fire Saturday, August 17th at Aqua Brew if you're in the San Marcos area, or if you're in Austin. They'll be playing on September 12th after the Grizzly Bear show at Stubbs. Enjoy. Are you guys enjoying the National Beer of Texas?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've been drinking this all weekend long.
It's a little silly, we understand, but hey, man.
I've listened.
I'll take it.
It's perfect for the koozies.
Yeah.
It's exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Vicoda sponsoring the koozies.
Yeah.
So Vicoda, let's just start. I guess we're in it. So Vicoda is here. This is like the touring podcast. You know, it's you guys are on the road. You have a 1 day tour.
Yeah.
in
We're gonna get
Austin.
T-shirts made with
Yeah.
just a 1 date on it.
Yeah.
Shakes up the whole back. Yeah.
But you guys have showed up from Denver, visiting Austin. Yesterday, Fair City Fire. You guys played together at Mohawk, which is one of the coolest venues in town.
Yeah.
Good showing, I think, for a Sunday night.
Yeah, we were happy.
Yeah,
You
no
guys are
kidding.
probably
We were
pumped
talking about that.
Yeah.
Fun
So-
fact, the bartender, when I went to go pick up my credit card that I left there last night, she said they had an unusual amount of cards left behind. So she said...
That's a surefire
I think
good
they
night.
went a little harder
For a Sunday.
Sunday night.
Good. That's what you want right there.
Exactly.
Fun fact, yeah.
You want people leaving their cards behind, I think.
That's right.
So let me go down the aisle of everybody here, because there's 9 human men in one small room.
So much
And,
testosterone
man.
flying around
Yeah.
right now. Can you feel it?
It's giving me a good sweat. Yeah. Let me go through. So Brett, actually we have all of Fair City Fire. Clint's even here today.
Yeah, Clint can't
That's
do a
pretty
segment.
wild.
Normally Clint does
I
a
made it.
segment called Clint's Not Here.
Yeah.
We just all
Not
like
anymore.
stop talking for a good couple seconds, and then that's his segment, right? But today he can't do it because he's
Yeah.
actually here.
So all of Fair City
Damn, my
Fire.
reputation precedes me.
Then we've got John, Chris, Trevor, and Devin,
That's
the
it.
bros, are all here.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's got a pano. Pano.
Everybody get their socials in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Taking pictures of each other, taking
Yeah,
pictures.
And obviously, the dynamic front woman, Shivani's not here. Unfortunately, she's bummed, so we're gonna call in, or she's gonna call in, and we're gonna try to make that work.
Should we call her?
Yeah.
She
You
said
just want to
she-
do it off the top?
She said she
Let's give her
parked.
some time, I
She
guess.
texted
Yeah.
me. She's like, I'm parking now. So
Okay.
A few minutes.
Cool.
yeah.
But Vicoda, really enjoyed you guys playing last night, and even
Thank
coming
you.
by a day later. Even you're catching a flight in minutes, hours. By the time somebody's hearing this, you've already flown miles and miles. It's incredible.
It's going to be
Back to
revolutionary.
the homeland.
And
I'm going to pass out.
so you guys are Vicoda, which is an anagram. Is that the right word for? I don't even. Are you the most unlikely band to have ever existed, based on where you guys have all come from, like Virginia, Idaho, time spent in Chicago, Minneapolis, and somehow you're in Denver?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like how does it?
That's number
You
one.
nailed it.
A+ on the homework on that. But, yeah, we definitely got lucky. The stars kind of aligned in this scenario, and that we all have some sort of intertwined story. And,
That's where we're from is a crazy thing, but also just the fact of like what other bands we were in with each other at one point or another is also kind of nuts. Want to run through the lineage on that if you remember all of them?
I do know them if you want to hear.
Devin
So
and I started
yeah,
out first, I think. We started playing together. around
they may have met each
5
other
and
first.
6, 7. We met each other first.
But very
Yeah.
incestuous kind of a
Very much.
thing.
The the story goes that Shivani and I have known each other for many years and went to high school together back in Virginia, and started playing music together there. Then went to JMU, started a band called Lights in the Fog.
No shit. I went to James Madison my freshman year. Dude.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
JMU grad right
No
here.
shit.
I'm cheersing you right
Yeah.
now. That's great news, my friend.
Let's go Dukes.
Yeah, go Dukes, man.
That's awesome.
John's a JMU guy as well.
Nice.
I met him and Shivani when I was I'm in video production, and I filmed like a little concert video for them, and I was like, God, I've got to play with these people one day, you know. And then fast
That's
forward.
cool as shit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
it's like
That whole
wild.
room out there, pretty sure all those people went to JMU as well.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Y'all
Dukes
go to
here.
That's
John
all
Madison
real.
too? Who?
Yeah, yeah.
James Madison.
It's James.
Oh, James Madison? I'm sorry, I didn't go there. James Madison?
John Madison.
John Madison?
The lesser known brother.
He's a president.
Yeah. No, and then so yeah, like John said, he filmed this documentary. We met that way. Fast forward a number of years later, and John and Shivani were playing in a band together in Charlottesville.
Yeah, I like stumbled upon her like on the downtown mall of Charlottesville, and she was like, "You didn't tell me you're in town." I was like, "Oh, I moved here." Sorry.
I didn't know that you guys just ran into each other like that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and then she gave me crap for that, and then she was like, "I'm looking for a drummer." So yeah,
Aren't
kinda
we
happened.
all?
Yeah, but yeah, Trevor and I met each other in Chicago. He was running the show and Board of Governors, this band out there.
Yeah.
Now, Trevor, why move from Idaho to Chicago?
Well, there was a pit stop in the middle, college. I went to school at Drury University in Springfield, Missouri. And I was in a band out there. And
Is that what a name, Drew?
Drury, Missouri
Drury,
from
yeah.
Springfield, Missouri. Yeah.
You gotta bumble that a bit, you know.
Yeah. It's harder to say when you're drunk. Yeah, so we got out of college, and the first thing I wanted to do is just go be in a band. So we were the closest big city I think to Missouri was Chicago, so we kind of settled on moving up there for the band. We moved up there as a band, and then we broke up like 2 weeks later. And,
Really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah, well, some of the band, different name. We kind of stayed together, but like, yeah. So that's how I got there.
Were you guys living together when you broke up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Did you start bringing over like other
Drama.
bands and stuff to play with?
Yeah, what's the grace period
Yeah.
there? How long?
You're like, I'm going to have another band over tonight, so...
That's how it is.
I need to leave for a few hours.
Just don't make this weird.
I'll put a sock on the door. You'll know what it means.
Yeah.
I've always thought like the correlation of like dating somebody and going on dates, and then as a band guy like jamming with another guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like yeah, I brought him over. We jammed for a little bit.
I think we're going to jam again.
It was,
Like, maybe
it was a
next week.
great jam, you know.
It's like I heard you jammed with
Yeah.
Matt the other night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Jamming
jammed
with
for,
someone
like,
else
3
now.
hours.
It's like, yeah, are you still jamming? No, we're not
What's
jamming
this I
anymore.
hear?
I'm
Yeah.
jamming with somebody else now. You're right. I mean, like, and also I
You
feel
got some explaining to do.
like as a band too, we're also kind of like, quote unquote, kind of married to each other as far as things go, right? We all have to tell each other like, oh, well, this is my life plans. And
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
rough.
let's hope these
It's
match
rough.
up and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? You know.
We had a lot of those kind of
What are we
conversations this
doing
week.
here, guys? What are
Yeah.
we really doing here?
Yeah.
Then Chris and Trevor, you guys met up in Chicago
Yeah.
and started between the two of you a new project, or did you just bring different pieces to
let's
it?
see, what was that? Board of Governors was the name of the group, and we were a 3-piece, and then the two guys kind of dropped out, and we kind of added different people here and there, and at one point we needed a guitar player, and it was right around the same time we started working together, and everyone was like, oh, dude, you got to check out this guy named Chris. So I jammed with him.
Actually, I went and saw it was one of these, Trevor was playing a show. We jammed. Yeah, it was good. It was all right. I'll do it again. He was playing a show, and I kind of went one of those like, oh, I'll just support somebody. It's probably going to be like so-so, but I'll go anyways. And when I saw Board of Governors, I was pretty blown away. Told Trevor, hey, if you ever want to jam, I'd love to. And he, funny enough, again, sort of a fortuitous moment where his guitar player was about to leave, and we're in need of another guitar player, so it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's going on in Chicago at the same time as John and Shivani are playing in
Charlottesville.
And then where do you come into this, Devin?
Me too.
I'm just floating out in the ether by myself, trying to find my way. So I was in Minneapolis via Wyoming. actually. So I was in a band in Wyoming for a while, and then moved out to Minneapolis, and was living there, playing with some guys, jamming. You know.
By the way, this is the first time I've ever heard this. I don't know what his story is yet. So, like,
You guys just
hidden
got
from
right
you.
to it, huh? When you get met up?
He's very mysterious.
Yeah, so I was there jamming with some guys, and ended up moving to Colorado about 3 years ago now. Trevor and I started jamming.
It'll never be the same.
And within a couple of months after that, Chris moved out, Shivani moved out, John moved out.
Nice.
It's pretty crazy,
Things
actually.
just lined up.
Yeah, within like 3 or 4 months, we were all there.
Was it the purpose for music, or did it? I mean, you saying the stars aligned? Is that just?
not at
Yeah,
all.
it was like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily moving out there. It certainly wasn't moving out there for music. I think we all had our own reasons. I'll speak for myself when I say that, like, we definitely, my wife and I, Kristen and I, moved out there because we wanted to just be outside more often. Like, we were living in Chicago, loving it. It's a great city, but it doesn't have much to offer in the outdoors realm. So Denver's kind of the opposite. It has amazing outdoor scenes. So we went out there. We were really excited because Trevor was out there. He had always told me, he was like, man, you got to play with my brother Devin. You guys are musical soulmates. And sure enough, the magic happened when we jammed. It was all meant to be.
There's a lot of stars, that's for sure.
Meant to be. But John moved up.
Yeah,
for
just
different
for
reasons.
work. Yeah, I mean,
work.
Yeah, I think pretty soon after you had moved out here, we were kind of like thinking, okay, I remember you told me, you're like, dude, I got this guy that I used to play with. His name's John. He's really awesome. And then for about a year, we were kind of like waiting and holding out for the idea that Shivani and John might move out. And we were like, okay, we might be able to have a band here. Let's just kind of hold off.
well, and I
Instead of,
took a couple work trips out, and I would like Chris and
Yeah.
I would secretly meet up in like little jam spaces.
Yeah.
Secret jams.
We're really beating the jam
They
thing
do.
around right now
Jam.
in a good way.
They rent hourly. So
Yeah.
it's like,
They rent hourly.
Oh, it's one of those kind of jam
Yeah, it is.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So we would like, and we started writing our like first song, which ended up being the first Vicoda song, which we like don't play anymore, but The Fire, and but that yeah, that was like just us off like just riffing, and then that turned into a Vicoda song later, but and then I ended up moving out.
Yeah, so like, in other words, we were like, okay, we could form this band. Let's just hold out instead of trying to figure out some other people that, you know, like, whatever, doing auditions or something like that. Because we had all been in bands with each other before. It was like, oh, this is going to be a good band. We just got to wait for everyone to kind of move out here and then start writing. And then we took like a year of just playing shows. I mean, I'm sorry, not playing shows, just writing before we finally were able to kind of play our first show in Chris's garage.
Nice.
Yeah, we just had basically a party at my house where we said, hey, we wanted to test the waters and see what this feels like to play out with this crew. And we turned the garage into spent about 10 or 12 hours turning my garage into a venue, basically.
Nice.
And had a great time doing it. And it turned out really well. We're like, we should do this more often. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we should go on tour to Austin.
yeah.
So,
How-
sorry, I was just gonna ask, like, prior to y'all meeting each other, did you guys like play out with other acts,
Like
In-
in Denver?
like before you guys all met each other?
In Denver, no.
We like Devin and I kind of had like I have sort of like a side project thing that I've been working on, and we were trying to kind of like come up with some songs. We do like some open mics. It was like it's like had electronic kind of backing tracks, and then acoustic stuff. It's like electronic folk kind of is what it's like.
Okay.
It's weird. It's a little different.
That's a
Trev's-
oxymoron if I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Trev's the one in the band who brings the synth layer, and he's always pushing it on us.
We're
gonna go there.
That synth was great last night in the show. That's
Did you notice the synth?
Oh, I did. I heard
in the
synth.
background?
There was- and I can't remember what song it was, but there was one point where it was very prominent, and it was the drums were going like at a full time beat, and then the synth was in the back, kind of like in a halftime, kind of picking it like just real like low in the back or slow in the back or whatever. It was just a halftime feel from the drums, and it was really cool.
Nice,
Yes.
man. Cool. I'm glad.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Glad you liked it.
Yeah,
See,
no, I
guys,
did.
synth.
No, I mean, and I'll say like everything we have in the show is like we all love those layers. It's just like Trev's been the guy who's like pushing it on us.
I
and
have,
like,
like-
all right, fine, I'll try it. You know.
We like so the old band I was in, it was a 3-piece like alternative rock band, and I was the singer and guitar player, and I was always like, God, I wish we could have like more sounds and layers. So when we first started playing, I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna be the guy that's like the in between guy that like plays all the different weird instruments and like kind of like the rhythm guy. But so like our first couple of practices, I brought like a keyboard and my freaking laptop and like drum samplers and acoustic guitar and electric guitar, and these guys are like, what the hell?
Vibra slap.
What are you gonna play? I was like, I'll just play it all. Yeah. And I had a couple of songs.
No, guys, listen. This is gonna be our thing. Like nobody else has this. I'm gonna be the guy that switches. And
it's gonna take me a half an hour to load into every practice.
Chair with all this stuff around you. Just
kick drum on your back, marching around.
Yeah. There'd be songs where it'd just be like have like a pad where it'd just be like, and I play the guitar and then play my keyboard and.
That's awesome.
So and you all can sit out this song. I've got it.
Yeah. And it's taken a year for me to like slowly be like, no, I don't think I need to use that. No, I don't want that either. No, just play the guitar. Nice. Just one guitar.
But there's like that program stuff, like we play to click for some songs, just like to stay on loops and stuff. And
we just put it in the background now.
Yeah, it's just little layers.
But soon, if you guys see us playing next year, I might have a synth.
There you go.
Start bringing it all back, piece by piece.
Yeah.
Reverse the process.
Did you ever strap on a guitar?
Oh, I wish you did.
Oh,
I have only messed around with those like in Guitar Center.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're like the rest of the band's like everything would have been acceptable had you just come in first day.
I'm gonna be your guitar player.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
No negotiations. This is what's happening.
I think maybe is this the right time to
Call her?
to call? Yeah,
She's good.
Let's see how this goes.
Well, hi.
How are you?
I'm good. You are here with the Say It Loud podcast.
Hi, Shivani.
Hello.
Tell her what she's won.
How is everyone?
Yeah, great.
Good.
You get a koozie.
Sipping on Lone Star.
Everybody's got some koozies. We got a few beverages. We miss you. We had to call you in.
I'm jealous, but thank you for calling me.
So, I don't know if you can hear me, Shivani, but my name's Matt, and you killed it last night. We were just kind of talking about the band history and how all this came into be, and how it probably is very unlikely that it came into being based on the mileage that you've all kind of gone through. Yeah. Is it something to you that's you think is it the end all be all of bands now that you guys have all made it together? You guys were pretty tight last night. It seems like this is something special.
It is something special. I just told someone yesterday I don't know that I will ever be in a band better than this or want to be in a band different than this. So to me, yeah, I very much hope the guys said the same thing. But yes, I do think it's for me.
We started a new band while you were jamming.
They've been jamming with a lot of
jamming.
Jamming around.
How do you guys when you get together? So I know you've got the 3 songs on Spotify now. So Furies, Blue Blood, Hills, which it's on Bandcamp as well. But when you guys bring those in, because you can tell, it seems to me when I listen to those songs, like there's definitely elements of everybody contributing based on the sound. Is that how it is for all of you? I mean, Shivani, when you approach a song, because you have these epic soaring vocals, is that? I mean, how does that come into your brain? You know, when you guys are pitching songs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our approach is and always has been extremely collaborative. I think every person, perhaps except for me, has taken the lead on at least one song, or it'll be someone's riff, or it'll be someone's baby, and then we'll all kind of contribute and work on it together. My process with the lyrics and the melodies side of things is also fairly collaborative, and it's becoming more so because the guys are so great and give me such wonderful feedback. So when I'm writing, my process is very much like I like having a concept in mind, and I'm working on making my lyrics very clear and something that the audience can hear and kind of know instantly what I'm talking about. And so that part, I definitely need a lot of collaboration and help with the guys, or from the guys. But then there are also times where we kind of, someone will like stick to their guns on a part, and sometimes it ends up being a really good thing that they did. So yeah, I think it's pretty collaborative.
And I would imagine the best part of the show, or one of the best, when you had all the ladies come up yesterday and rocked out and headbanging and all that. Like, what does that do for you? I mean, Sarah's sitting here. Sarah, I don't know if you know her, but she's here in the room, and she ran up to the stage too and was rocking out. How much does that pump you up when you get people to actually like come up to the stage and rock out with you?
It's huge, and I don't want to be or sound like I don't care about men, because I think men are I think men and women are equal, obviously, and I want to rock out with men too. But to me, it's extremely important and something I am like just hugely passionate about. That there are songs in rock music, and there are people like me in rock music who are not white, who are female, who identify as female, and are writing songs about the topics that females or people who identify as female experience. And so that's why, with that song, The Furies, that you're talking about, that entire song is written to be from the perspective of a band of female warriors. And part of that reason is that because anytime I read a lot of nerdy fantasy novels and books and things like that, one of the things that I always find is that women are not portrayed as warriors. Oftentimes we have these other roles, but it's kind of similar in music too. When we, try to think of, cover bands or things that have female leads, it's hard to find sometimes. And so those moments are huge to me and are very much a big part of even why I'm in a band and why I make music, because it's something I think in our time right now that is getting a lot of attention but needs more. And we need more examples of people who are successful, it's part of the reason is of their experiences because they identify as a woman or as female. So it's a huge thing for me, and it's a big part of a lot of the lyrics that I write. And I should also mention, I'm very lucky. I know this is kind of a long answer, but I'm very lucky that I'm in a band with 4 dudes who are totally on board with this. They exemplify what I think male allies should. They are so supportive. They are so ready to write a song about sometimes the topics that I want to talk about or sing about. And I think it just goes to show it takes everyone. And that's very much the message I'm trying to bring on stage.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah.
I am I can speak for everybody to say I'm very much in favor of female warriors. If I can just sit at home and play video games, and let the ladies get out there and keep my freedoms alive, I am all in favor of that.
You.
So yeah.
And worry.
But you killed it last night. Thank you for coming on. Do you have any unsolicited statements you want to make about the band? I mean, we appreciate you coming to Austin for one night. That's pretty incredible journey.
So Shivani, you're in San Diego right now?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego for work.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So
thank you. I just wanted to say
I don't know where I was going with that.
For having me and for making it possible for me to call in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you had to play the show last night and then just head out this morning.
And then you're going quite a few other places in the next couple weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm traveling quite a bit. I'm going to DC tomorrow to visit family. I have some family visiting from India that I don't get to see very often, so I'm going to be there, and then might be taking a couple trips to Philadelphia and Baltimore before I head back to Denver. But really, really sad I couldn't be here be there for the podcast. It sounds wonderful.
There's a lot of jamming going on.
Thank you again for making this possible for me to call in.
You are here. You're here right now.
It was a great
I'm
change
here,
of pace. The first 10 minutes was just talking about dudes jamming with dudes. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
And thank you to the people at 1-800-CALL-ATT for making this call happen. Yeah. Well, thanks, Shivani. Very unique performance, and
thank you.
It was great to see you.
Yeah,
kind of
to
piggyback
Thank you so
off.
much.
Let me let her get off the phone.
Oh, Trevor really wants to say something.
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. Oh shit.
You did it to yourself, buddy.
I will say just the lyrics that Shivani has brought to the table have been really cool. Just in the idea of they are very conceptual and have a whole plan to them. They all are coherent in the sense of concept album. Honestly, I think at one point we could easily do that because she's got just really depth to what the message is that she's trying to say, which is really cool. I think a lot of like typically our songwriting process has been like we'll just kind of jam, hit a riff, bring up a song, and kind of format it. And she's kind of just always in the background, kind of listening. And then we're like, okay, here's our song that we like, and throw some lyrics on it. And then she'll come back like the next day and have like this huge like idea of what it is and what it explains. And I mean, I'm always blown away as far as like, whoa, like.
Well, and the song transforms from there, like, you know, with her melodies, like, changing. Okay, God, like, let's stop playing so much and let's back off a little bit because we want that to, you know, that to be the feature. So it's easy to, like, overplay when you're, like, just playing without vocals, you know?
Totally. And one thing I think that, like, we're trying to figure out how to do is, like, allow her some time maybe online in different avenues to be able to explain more about what the songs are actually about. Because I don't know, like, they're... it's a lot to kind of just pick up on it when you're hearing it live or even like on a song. But if you ever have a chance, go check out the lyrics, go like read them, and see what you get. I mean, like there's some depth there for sure. Nice job, Shivani.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, we're gonna
Thanks, Shivani.
Alrighty. Have fun.
Thanks.
See ya.
Later.
See ya.
So where can you find the lyrics?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
There's a couple places you could find it.
Break into Shivani's house and raid her notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that. Don't.
Definitely
Don't
steer
do
clear of that idea. It's on our website, number one,
Okay.
vicodaband.com. And then I would absolutely say that even more interesting way to see them would be on our Instagram page. Often Shivani will do these things it's a series called Words Wednesday. So it'll be a video, often a video, or sometimes just words that she's written that are explaining a little bit of the backstory behind what does the lyric mean, how did she come up with it, all those kind of things. So yeah, Words Wednesday is great on Instagram. Otherwise, if you just literally want to read them, vicodaband.com is where it's at.
And Instagram is Vicoda Band as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
At Vicoda Band, exactly.
So what I thought was really fun about yesterday the show is the way you guys blend cover material with original stuff, and it's something I haven't seen before. And I don't remember who I was talking to yesterday about it, but it's kind of this idea of like, you know, when you go to a DJ who's mashing stuff up and it's fun, but it's like 100 times better when a live band is playing it. I don't know. What's the
That's awesome,
motivation?
man.
What's the
Thank you, number
intention behind that? Is it
That was all original, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Audio
Slave, the Beatles, they all stole that shit.
Yeah,
that
I know.
Yeah.
We had it first. So.
You started he wrote Cows on Parade.
Yeah. All they did was the male version. So number one, like, huge thank you. That's awesome. That's a huge compliment. I've never heard it described that way, in that it's almost like a DJ, but that's really, really cool that you got that from it. For me, anyway, and
But
I'll
better.
let these,
But better.
but better even. That's even better.
Yeah.
But for me, anyway, and I'll let these guys chime in if they feel differently. But the cover piece is really exciting because I think we've sort of approached it maybe differently than I have in bands past, and that it doesn't necessarily have to be an entirety of a song that we cover and that's it. It's more like, hey, we all love the band Rage Against the Machine, so let's throw a riff in here because it gets us all hyped up and we want the crowd to be in the same mindset that we are. So that's really fun. And then the other piece that we played last night, one of the other pieces that we did was sort of that mashup of a couple tunes that we were talking about. Yeah. Audio Slave and then the Beatles. And that's just a fun idea. I don't know, we kind of came up with that a few months back, of the idea of mashing stuff together, and we've been working on that one. And just songs, again, get us excited. We sort of took inspiration, being in Austin, this makes even more relevant, but took inspiration from Gary Clark when he put out I don't know if you guys heard that version he put out, a Come Together recently that he did. It is awesome. The tone on his guitar on that is so good.
Yes.
But anyway, we heard that, and that kind of reignited the love of that tune. So we were like, oh, what if we could do a kind of a version in that vein and mash those two together?
Yeah. It's kind of the idea too, like when, you know, we're a new band, so people don't really know, you know, all of our music. So when we play a set and it's just like, you know, 10 songs that you've never heard before, it maybe doesn't have the same approach as just throwing little things in there every once in a while. But that is a really good compliment. I'm glad you said that, because we kind of collectively had thought, like, let's do some covers, but let's make them shorter, so we're not like doing the whole song, because then, you know.
I was talking. I think I was talking to John about it last night a little bit, and I think you were in on that as well. But like the whole idea of, because Brian and we've always mentioned too, it's like on our original sets, do we want to do a cover, like a full cover, and then you're like, are you going to be that band that's only remembered for doing X cover?
Mm-hmm.
And then the way you guys approached it, just doing the little snippets where you mentioned, just like it gets people pumped. When you hit that Rage song, I started fucking headbanging. And then you went into your own song, and it's like you almost forget that you played the Rage riff. Like you don't, like, we remember it because you did it in such a unique fashion. But I don't think anyone would go from that show and go, oh yeah, that band last night that covered that Rage song. Like,
you just like took the feeling away from that, and then
you hype everyone up with the riff, and then you go into your own stuff, and then blow them away with your own stuff.
Cool.
And then also like the cover of the Beatles was cool because it didn't sound like you made your own twist on it. It was really original in your own lane. Yeah.
And then like Brett said too, I felt like it was pretty cut in between the set where it was like, okay, sweet, I'm in an original song, like, here we go, we're digging this stuff, this is great. And then like something would come in that and then everyone kind of gets into it a little bit more, and then you go right into like what Brett was saying with you're playing your own stuff, and you don't even realize like, oh, okay, sweet, and not like you don't realize like you in a bad way or anything like that. Like you're like, okay, sweet, this is their song now, and this is awesome. And then it goes back into, and it kind of ebbs and flows in a way that it like keeps you there the whole time.
I'm so excited to hear all this.
Same.
I'd never heard anyone do it that way.
It's cool when you do it in your own way too. Like, you know what I mean? Because you could sit there and you could start. Come together just like it starts, just like it plays, and you could do it that way too. But to put it in there with a couple songs and to make it your own and be like, make it sound like you guys was really cool.
Oh, and then you could see the energy with you guys because the crowd would be like, "Fuck yeah!" And then they just went from there. Like the level on stage of energy just went through the roof, blew the fucking roof off.
And it would continue on to the next original song and to the next thing and stuff like that. So yeah, it was sweet.
It was a fun show last night.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
We were feeding off you guys
fun up there.
so
like, you
much,
could definitely tell y'all were having a good time. It was cool. I saw a lot of smiles. Saw a lot of good stuff. Like that was awesome.
Did you guys get what you wanted out of it? I mean, it's a one-day tour, but I mean, what were your expectations, and then did it match? What did you even think?
I think like a huge part of this was just having like a weekend together. I don't think we've ever spent. I mean, a couple of us separately have done just like cabin weekend kind of trips and stuff, but to be on that constant music phase, we jammed the day before the show for like 6 hours at the practice space.
Shout out to the music lab.
Those guys are great. Those guys are great.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we got it for like 3, and then it went longer than we expected, and so we extended.
Had a lot of fun.
But yeah, I mean, like having that whole weekend, just like
it's good to jam in strange places.
Yeah,
it's inspiring sometimes. It's inspiring.
And obviously, like coming to Austin was a huge, just like we have good friends here. We were like wanting this to happen.
Yeah, do you want to give a shout out to the people that let you crash and all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I definitely would love to give them some shout outs, which is Matt Peronio, Drew Bear, instrumental. I think they stepped outside, but instrumental in making this all happen and really igniting the spark that led to us playing Austin, Texas. So there are huge people that's worthy of a shout out. Karen, our friend Karen Blue, huge shout out for letting us crash at her place all weekend. It was extremely generous and awesome to have that space.
Thanks, Karen.
And we had a few people that just were willing to
shout out.
The lady. Thank you for that, Brett. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. My wife came in. She drove up.
She can't hear you. It's okay.
She's not even here. Oh well. So everybody make sure to tell her that I gave her the shout out later. No, she came up. She came into town again. Obviously lives in Denver with me, and then flew in and was able to come out for it. And we had people fly in actually from Portland. Katrina flew in from Portland. We had Tammy flying from San Diego. We had Ann flying from DC. It's just a really special thing
coming into this because we knew those layers were happening, and like friends had put this like kind of geared this bill up for us of like, hey, you should come play, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then there's just like so much so much excitement I feel like leading up to it.
Agreed. And I actually, to go back to your original question, which was the expectations piece, and what do we Devin and I had a really good conversation before the show last night, and we were talking about it's so interesting to play here because we didn't really know exactly what to expect. And we, of course, had these friends that had flown in and friends that lived here that we knew would be there, and we just decided, he and I kind of decided last night that if there's 5 people in the crowd and it's these 5 people, we're going to play like we're playing Madison Square Garden, because these people put a lot of effort and work into this, and let's show them some love because of it. And then what actually happened was those 5 people that we love and care about were there on top of a full house of your guys' folks, Sunrise Police's folks, and then we had a lot of people come out too, and it just, I think, kind of electrified us. For me anyway, I don't know, I'll let these guys speak for themselves, but it was really just flowing through me the whole night of how excited and how grateful. That was the most, I just felt so grateful for everybody for being there.
It's also nice to hear that you guys have the same kind of philosophy that we have when we go to new places. It's we call it the low bar mentality.
Yeah. I love it.
Where, you know, you're like, sweet, you know what? Like, those 5 people, they're going to be there. Anybody else after that?
5 might be a little high.
Yeah.
5 might sometimes it's a stretch. A little high. But then, you know,
Give
you
them
get
the
more
best
than that,
show.
and you get a good, you give them the best show, and you get a little more than that. You're like, sweet, that was way higher than the bar we set.
Yeah.
Like,
You
that
can't
was
get
great.
negative, but you can't get positive either.
Yes,
It's right
Yeah.
there in the middle.
It's a very fine balance.
Like there will probably be 3
Great.
people there. That's it. But man, we're gonna. It's like, oh, there's
They're gonna
7
love it.
people here.
I've,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't think I've actually said this on the podcast yet, but like that for me, that started with a teacher actually that told me that on the last day of class.
Yeah.
Don't strive.
Yeah, it was like in 9th grade. Mr. Phillipson,
Inspiring.
he said, aim low, you'll never be disappointed on the last day of class.
Was this to everyone or
To the whole class.
okay? Good. If it was a one-on-one, it'd be a little.
Yeah, private.
No,
meeting.
yeah, he wasn't talking to me like directly.
Brian,
no.
before you leave.
Yeah, Brian.
That's 28 students whose lives, 20 plus students whose lives were changed that day.
But the thing is, like, that stuck with me. That was probably the biggest thing I learned in high school. Yeah.
Aim low.
Wasn't it like calculus 2 you had to do, or like
Yeah.
pre-cal? No.
No.
Last little piece of
So
advice.
thank you, Mr. Phillipson.
Dr. Wade.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna
you're
tag
right.
you
It
in
ended
this
up
shit.
being a great night. It ended up blowing up and being
Yeah.
a huge evening. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
How? I mean, you're based in Denver. Do you get around the state? I mean, outside Denver much when you're playing? I mean, you guys are still. I
That's
mean,
what-
how new are you actually?
Yeah,
like,
I was
as a
kind of
unit?
just chip in on that too. This is probably like our 6th show
Oh no! Whoa!
Nice.
as a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, right, like
Yeah.
our expectation, like we're just stoked, right, to
Oh,
be
wow.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great bar.
Yeah.
Just happen to be out of
Yeah.
the basement.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
breathing today. God.
yeah. So we have like like I said, we've been in other bands before, so we have like kind of a strategy of how we want to try to do it. So we've been pretty selective about shows, but this was definitely our biggest like goal for the summer was to be like, okay, if we could play Austin, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
And then
Hell yeah.
yeah, somehow figured out a way to make it happen. A lot of people helped chip in. Chris, got to give Chris a shout out, honestly.
Thank
give
you,
you
man.
Chris. Put a lot of work in on emails and connecting bands. We had, obviously his friends had helped set it up, but there was multiple other bands that didn't work out. You guys came in. It was thank you, by the way, for letting us
Big
use your
thank you.
stuff. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And
We would-
Sunrise Police as well, just to jump in
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Sunrise
drums,
Police.
drum set for the whole night. Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
great.
drum
Those
set.
guys
roll
were
the whole
super
day,
great
so that was
too.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
That was a great set those guys put on. They
sure.
brought out some people too, for sure.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to Southwest Airlines for getting us here.
Hey.
sponsored by Southwest.
On point.
got to thank the corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
Everybody
yeah, I was gonna
on
say,
point.
you get those bags, man.
What is their
Wow,
slogan?
two.
Smile or something? I don't know.
I don't
Smile
know.
while you fly. I don't know.
If it isn't, it should be. That's
Right?
good.
Yeah.
Go to
Fans fly free, right? I believe that's it.
Fans fly free. That's their motto.
Hey, we'll get you. We'll get you.
Awesome.
Suddenly, everyone is in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to southwestairlines.com, use the promo code Vicoda, you'll get 10% off your next flight. So
That sounded perfect.
try it. Try it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Southwest, if you're listening, we're open for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Do you? Is the Denver scene a scene? Is it a? I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Even you played a few shows there, but being
Like
there,
UMS
is
is a
it?
good-
There's definitely a scene there. Yeah, I personally think it's getting bigger quicker, or quick. I mean, yeah, we just played a festival last week that was called UMS Underground Music Showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, UMS.
That-
I will let Chris take it away on that. He nailed out. You probably saw how many bands?
I saw about 30 bands over the course of a few days, and
Nice.
that was to answer your, like the scene in Denver. That was a great barometer for like what are we, what's the current state of things in Denver, Colorado, local music wise. And shout out also, while we're on the UMS topic, shout out to Tobias. He's a guy who organizes that whole festival, and he's just a great guy, and he just did an excellent job. 2 parts, he took it over this year, did a great job. And what we saw was that I'll take one of those too.
Round of national beers.
What we saw was
Anybody out
that
there?
I really feel like the word that I often use when I'm describing the scene in Denver. This is amazing.
Sorry,
It's a beer. Beer
Fresh
time out.
ones.
Beer
Everyone's
time out.
opening their beer.
It's beer 30 right now.
Yeah, we're gonna let you get right back to that in a second, Chris.
Yeah.
Get a moment of silence for this.
Wherever you are listening to this, grab yourself a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pop it with us, everybody.
So
Podcast
Pause it
sponsored by
right
Lone
now.
Star.
Lone Star.
Go to lonestar.com and enter the promo code Vicoda for a free 6-pack. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now that I got my beer, I can continue my conversation here, which is that the word that I always use to describe the Denver music scene is just collaborative, and I feel like supportive. Those are 2 words that come to mind, because what we found through the bands that we've met there and the bands we met last weekend at UMS is just everybody is trying to give each other love, and that was actually really true last night. You guys are a great representation of that, where you're just so willing to help. We're coming out from out of town. We had never met at the time for you guys, and you really were being supportive and saying, hey, what can we help with, what can we let you share our stuff, and same with Sunrise Police. So hopefully that's true of the Austin scene as well. But yeah, Denver scene is really awesome. We saw some great bands. There's a few that are really rising right now. Our friends, Citra, we saw this. They've been on the rise. They're a rock group out of Denver that puts on a really fun, entertaining show that we saw this weekend.
They're wild.
They were really wild and really fun. But yeah, overall, it's a great collaborative scene that we've gotten into.
I mean, I would say it's not like Denver in itself as a city right now. There's a lot of different people moving from other major cities to Denver right now.
Why? I have no idea.
I don't know, dude. It's very relaxing.
I was just talking to Devin about it too. We were in the car, and I was like, this place, Austin's having a moment. I feel like Colorado's having a moment. Like a lot of places are just. I meet someone almost every day who's like, I just moved here from there, and then I have plenty of people that I know. They're like, I'm moving up to Colorado. I'm moving to Denver, stuff like that. But sorry.
But the music scene, I would say right now is not necessarily like there. I don't know if there is a specific sound yet. It's like a Denver sound. Nathaniel Rateliff's actually maybe a good example of what could be a Denver sound, but like there's bands of all different genres just kind of trying to help each other out and figure out.
Is there like every night, like in Austin, there's every night you could go somewhere and there's music? Is it there in most places in Denver now? Is it getting there, or is it still like a weekend thing?
No. Like there's like a circuit of like probably 5 or 6 bar or venues that are huge, awesome venues that are nationally touring acts that are coming through, and they're doing their thing. But then other than that, like the local bar scene, I would say there's probably more like 6 to 7 places that are really pretty solid. So yeah, between those 15 places just within Denver city metro area, there's probably something going on every night of the week.
How competitive is it? Like if you say like, so you had 3 singles, or I don't know what, we can talk about it in a minute, but if you guys plan to release a single, another one, would you try to like get a gig at a certain spot, and how hard would it be to do that?
Speaking of singles,
Yeah, we do have an upcoming single.
Hey, you heard it here first on the Say It Loud podcast, everybody.
That's right.
Go to Vicoda.com, VicodaBand.com, and enter promo code Vicoda to get the next single.
Yeah, we got a new song coming out. It's called Storms. Later this fall.
At Evergroove Studio.
Those guys are awesome too.
Yeah,
speaking
Brad
of.
out there.
Shout out to Evergroove.
That's a good name for a studio.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
That
so
was
cool.
so cool up there.
It's like up in the mountains. I won't go too deep into this, but it's a really neat studio. It's up in the mountains, and so we were in this gorgeous space, just looking out over the he has this big glass windows, so you can see the trees and the mountains out. So you're kind of like just
Glass
inspired.
windows are the best windows, by the way.
Those are the best.
They're way better.
I was typically a fan of plastic, and this was a first for me, but I really enjoyed it.
You're a funny guy.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, those guys are great. Why glass needed to be a description that I included in that, we'll never
We
know.
weren't going to skip that.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a really cool spot. And then he has a guy works from Ethan, and the two of them were like just helping us lock in our tones so well. It was a really fun day. So those guys are awesome.
A fun fact: we were recording. Yeah, you were gonna say this. I'm sorry, but
Go for it.
we were recording a song called Storms, and then we're up in the mountains, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and then drums and bass got tracked. We were good to go. Nailed it real fast. First take was awesome. Third take was maybe the one, but quick plug to me.
And Devin. You're part of it together.
Should we all just pat you on the back right now?
Yeah, man.
Just take some time.
No, but like we track drums and bass, and then we're like getting set up for the guitars and stuff, and this like storm, like huge thunderstorm, like lightning thunder just going nuts over top of the mountain, and it probably only lasted in like 45 minutes to an hour, but like they were getting things rigged up and stuff, and then the speakers are like popping, the lights are like flickering, the whole place is just like feel like it could explode, and then we had to actually pause for probably 45 minutes to like just chill out and wait the storm out, and it was like, what?
You guys looking out the glass windows?
Oh yeah.
We did.
Storms there, yeah.
It like started to hail a little bit, and then it just like turned into a sunny evening. And
I was following you guys during that process. I got to see some of the. I don't know how much you posted, but I saw some of the in studio.
Yeah, the live stuff we were doing.
It was really cool, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for looking at that.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I love the outdoors. So when you guys kept going outside and shooting them out, it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah,
Dev, I do think you
bears up
really
there?
killed it on that take. I mean it.
We jam well together.
Yeah.
We do jam well together.
Yeah. Especially if it's a third take. Let's keep it going. So is the plan now to just doing the singles thing, or you have any plans for an album complete?
We've kind of talked through this a lot, and I guess it's sort of a question I'm sure many bands ask themselves and try to figure out what the right formula is. But for us right now, we've kind of taken the approach of trying to do more singles, and I think ideally we're going to try to get a bunch recorded and not necessarily release them all at once, with the aspect of our mindset is basically like, okay, if we release, even if we have 12 songs ready to rock and roll, we could release one every month or every couple weeks or every quarter or however you want to do it. Now you've got all this content that you can put out to people. People can continue to be excited about what's coming next. 'Cause, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but even when a band that I love puts out a full album, I don't necessarily like spend the time to listen through the whole thing. It's like almost feels overwhelming, which is ridiculous, but that's kind of how it is these days. So if somebody's putting out a single or an EP, for me, that's more engaging. I'm going to be more like into it. And then as a band, if you guys know this routine too, you're always trying to be in front of people. And one of the ways we felt like we could do it was by singles and putting them out more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like getting started, like you said, this was like your 6th show, so like to get started and to just keep constantly coming out with stuff and just show that you're out here. Hey, we're doing this. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Yeah.
I feel like go ahead. No, I was gonna say I feel like the process with that it can vary so much between what each person or band wants to do in that fashion, like
and where you're at as a band too. I feel like too, right?
Yeah, because you could go either way. You could do the singles, you could do the full length album, you could come out with a tour, you could do a vinyl release, you could have. There's just so many.
Nothing's like the end all be all answer, right? Like it's all like just try it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Such a crazy thing. I'm very old school in the fashion where I like to sit down and I'll listen start to finish.
Yeah.
And also if I enjoy the album, like right now I've been listening to a lot of Leon Bridges, his new album. Just like I can't stop listening to it.
I kind of just get stuck on one for like.
Yeah, just
weeks.
put on repeat. Or like there's a really good band you guys should check out called the Canvas People. They're a local band here in town.
Awesome.
Fuck, man, like I must have listened. I know Matt does this too. I must have listened to their album
Guilty.
over 150 times
Yeah.
from start to finish in this last year. It's just like
You got to check them
I
out
love
then.
it.
Nice.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
That's
harmonies,
cool.
Good stuff. It's real good.
So
One thing we've talked about too is like just doing what you want to do, what you like in music. You know, if you as a band like albums,
Right.
you put out albums.
Yep.
But if you like you had mentioned, like I take in music as like singles and EPs. That's how like you kind of seem to take in music, and that makes sense that your band's doing that. You know?
Yeah, and I think the piece that the only piece that I'd say you really do lose is the idea of like a concept album, or like one album that is truly a story from start to finish, which is a really cool idea as well. You do lose that, but
it seems like you guys are still following that, even though you're doing singles.
Was it?
I mean, having the writing processes you've been doing in the year. I mean, there's got to be that growth and that like, you know, similarity between songs throughout that year and that process of writing.
Yeah, I think in one aspect, like especially with Spotify and stuff now, even when you release albums, since you can see like everybody's like all of their works together, and you, like when you first discover a band, if you're not there from the start, you got like usually 2-3 albums to go through, but so the whole thing is kind of like one big album now. So, but it is like you know, it's more like singles are like writing short stories versus like you can like put more of a novel out with an album. But
it's a great way to.
But you definitely need like you could release it differently though too, like how John Mayer did with his like waves of the same album, where it was like all one album, but he released like 4 songs at a time, I think.
Yeah, so. It's kind of like our progression of songwriting too. I mean, we're new, like we haven't played that long together, so it's sort of like singles have been making sense of like we're still figuring out what we sound like. Every song we've written is just like, all right, I like this one so much more.
It ends up being an album, you know, after you get like 5 up there. It's a progression.
I think it's like natural a little bit,
but,
being like Babyface a little bit. But
from what I heard last night too, it didn't vary. It wasn't like you're hitting one genre and then all of a sudden the next song is like completely different. Like it did have a feel.
But that's exactly right, man. I think we've like replaced the idea of writing an album to come up with a concept, like a longer, you know, like you were saying, like a novel, and we've replaced that with building sets.
Yeah.
And like we spent a lot of time thinking through the whole process of a set, and that's where we kind of plug and play with little things here and there.
Yeah, there was last night when I went back into the green room space, if you want to call it that, store the drums.
I have a picture of when you walked in.
Hey guys, everybody, what's up? Yeah, I'm like, did I photobombed it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
I come in or whatever, and I'm just like, hey guys, what's up? Like, I want to chat. Let's just chat all night long. And they're like, I was like, well, hold on, I feel like I'm interrupting the thing. And like at one point, someone was like, hey, we're coming up with our set. Like, I'm really not trying to be rude. I was like, no, dude, I get it. I totally get that part. I'm gonna see my way out. Like, no worries. But no, I totally get. Like,
it felt terrible.
No,
we honestly
did.
And
for us, I mean, we do the same thing, right? Like, if we're just trying to like hey, we're trying to take this moment right now, just real quick. We're gonna be right back outside
right before you go on too.
And chat. And
I did the same thing, but I didn't even say anything. I just did some awkward head nods. I think I like looked at you guys and like. Okay, I'll be out there.
Got it.
We're gonna head on out. No, but I mean that's what it takes. That's what it takes, right? And the set sounded great. So it's like I'm not knocking it at all. It was just funny. It was funny you say that because I was like, I can tell you guys take that moment, that time to be like, this is the way it's gonna go. It needs to flow from this to this, or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's cool that you have that option too. If you're doing the single releases, you know, like let's say you put out, 9 to 12 singles. It's like now you can go back and go, fuck, let's release that as an album, and there's another reason to go play a show or go on a tour or do whatever you want, or don't, and move on to writing new stuff.
I really love the like kind of what you're saying still, like the concept of like a record, like printing records because then you really do like sit down and literally like listen through the whole album. It's expensive to make records, but I would love to make at one point.
Well, I mean, that's the cool idea of
record on vinyl, but
yeah, it's the cool idea of doing it as singles, right? I mean, because you can record at your own time, and then once you got enough material, if you look back on it, you go, you know what, guys, this does have a flow to it, or maybe
it's like building a set. I mean, you're like
you're
thinking of the transitions and that's what's going to go from what to what, and I think there's something fun about that.
Yeah.
So I do want to make an album.
And then you get to name, it. Oh, no. You can call it something. You get to come up with some stupid name like Shake Your Bones or something.
And again, you heard it here first on the Say Loud podcast. Vicoda.
A lot of firsts.
You guys just talked us into making an album.
Maybe like next year or something like that. But still, 2 years.
It's just Storms on repeat. Like it's like 7 times.
Yeah, Storms Part 1.
We were all watching
it. It's all the same.
The remixes back in the day when you get the tape of like a single, and it'd be like.
One single, and
then it was like 4 different remixes of the same fucking song.
I have a 45 of "Going Back to Cali" by LL Cool J.
So that's the thing,
and it's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Yeah. It's like "Going Back to Cali," and then it's like 3 remixes of the same song. The long version, the radio version, and then the like.
I had cool. Or was it oh fuck.
Cool
no. It was the old. I'm drawing a fucking blank. Today Was Good Day.
Oh, Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Yeah.
I had that
Devin
tape
had
back
it.
in the day, and it was like literally that. It was like
That's where
one
Devin
song,
was.
and then it was like, okay, we'll do the instrumentals on the next song, and then it'll be okay, we'll just have just the choruses, and then fucking 7 songs. Like, I'm like 9 at the time. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this going on?
Wait, this is the same song.
Yeah, is this just on repeat?
So you guys have to go to the airport very soon. So appreciate you coming by. What do you think in terms of being a band this trip to Austin has done for you? I mean, did you learn anything? Did it ignite something in you?
I saw these guys drunker than I've ever seen them.
Yeah. That's important.
Likewise, there, buddy.
Also,
Oh,
were you
slid that one
guys
in.
half the credit cards that were left, or?
I was one. I just got it. Yeah.
Also, I do
pick
want
it
to
up.
just go back real quick to Ice Cube's A Good Day, and I'm going to do my segment just real quick. Somebody actually came up with what was the good day in Ice Cube's song, and the explanation goes, MTV Raps was on air. It was a clear and smogless day in Los Angeles. Beepers or pagers were commercially sewn. Lakers beat the Supersonics, and Ice Cube had no filming commitments. Was January 20th, 1992. And now you know with Joe, everybody. That was the good day.
Now you know.
In Ice Cube's timeline.
It's the good news.
Nice.
So there you go. That's a little tidbit for you guys to take it home.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You had to squeeze a segment in there.
I had to squeeze the segment in.
Aim
no
low
Quint's not here
and-
segment.
Save that for our next podcast.
Now you know with Joe.
Well,
Yeah,
you can tell that to your neighbor on the airplane for sure. Give him that information.
Guess what?
Did you know?
Did you know?
Yeah. The idea of being drunk. you guys haven't been drunk together before,
Oh,
like that
yeah.
drunk, or
No,
Not Austin drunk.
no, yeah.
not 3 nights in a row, Austin drunk.
You can't hear him, but Devin just said, not Austin drunk. And
How many
we're all
songs did you
laughing.
come up with, like, while you were drunk? Like, oh, we should do a song about that. It's like, oh, we should play here.
Oh, we came up with one that's pretty ridiculous.
We should
Yeah.
do a podcast.
Button zip flop. Button zip flop.
flop.
Yeah, it was about.
That's gonna steer this conversation in.
Yeah, let's not go there. Right.
To be continued.
Yeah,
To
don't,
be
spoil,
continued.
don't let anybody take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll save that for
I like
when.
the name.
Yeah, we gotta keep that under wraps
Yeah,
until
yeah,
it's on our album.
There you go.
We did have some good moments this weekend, though. It was like John was saying earlier, I feel like this weekend was super unique for us in the sense that we basically spent 4 full days just being around each other like a family. And I don't know, I think some of the energy that you saw on stage last night was a translation of the last 3 days that we had spent together. And all
God, that's
Come
my
on,
bad
Matt.
stuff.
that better have been important.
I'm usually like, damn it!
No, it was a translation of all the time that we had spent together the last 4 days, and we just had some really nice moments to not only talk about band business stuff, but just kind of like become closer as the friends that we are, and I think we were translating that excitement to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is like we all like full-time jobs. Like a lot of us are married. I mean, Trevor's got a kid. It's like,
John's got one
I've
on the
got
way.
one on the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor, did you know that? You have a kid?
Wait, what?
I don't know. Us having like I've never had 4 days straight of like nonstop seeing these guys, and I think we knew we were going into this with that. Like this is part of that. It's like vacation / musiccation. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
that was a huge part for me, and like wanting to play this with you guys was like. Yeah, I mean, just like a bro down, and with Shivani, of course. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like
That is
that
cool.
social aspect was a huge part of it for me, and then I think obviously that all ties into like how we write music and how we're gonna be practicing consistently through this weekend and like tightening our set, and just like I don't know, yeah, getting to know you guys even more and stuff. That was a huge part of Austin for me.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Well, definitely not to repeat what I said earlier, but like it showed your performance last night. Like
Thank
just
you guys so much.
camaraderie, like you could tell. It was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you.
a cool show. Yeah.
It is
was
awesome. Enormous.
Yeah, I think just going from the idea of like, let's try to make this happen to now sitting here having a podcast after it happened and being like, God, that was good.
That
like,
was so fun.
Just the whole experience, not like the show or anything, but just like the whole thing. I think it's like we felt very welcomed here and
Yeah.
fucking
And thank you for coming on the
Yeah,
podcast. Thanks for
we're at your
making this-
house
man, we're
right
so
now
happy to
after
be
the
here.
show. I mean, what
And
a,
we
what a
hope
cool
that at
turn
one
of
point,
events, you know.
One point, come to Denver and we'll treat you guys the
Exactly.
same exact
Come
way.
back.
Absolutely.
Dude, love
Yeah,
to do
we'll
that.
be back to Denver for sure.
Yeah,
we
we'd
will.
love to
Good
have
time.
you guys on a bill
We
together.
might have to fly this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
All our shit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the back.
No, yeah.
That's the way. That's
We'll,
the
yeah,
long.
we'll backline. Yeah, we got you.
Cheers to that.
That drive is not the
Ben's
most
flat-free.
exciting.
Well,
drive,
Clint.
so.
Yeah, Clint's paying for us with.
Although we are supposed to go back to Wichita. So.
Yeah, we got it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's true.
We gotta
gotta
do
go
Wichita
back to
first.
Wichita.
Maybe we can meet in the middle. Maybe you guys can meet us in Wichita.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go jam in Wichita. I know a place.
No, nobody from Wichita seemed to want to be from Wichita, but it was a great
Yeah.
listening crowd though.
And as much as you guys want to make that drive from Denver to Wichita, like it could be fun.
Cool. Well, VicodaBand.com. You guys are getting going. New single coming out.
Storms.
Storms. That's
Yep.
right. Yep.
And you heard it here first.
You did. Yep. And Fair City Fire, Grizzly Bear After Show, September 12th.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
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 At Stubbs.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice.
This is awesome. This is like the most awesome impromptu podcast. Yeah, I think you're our first road guests.
Awesome.
Right?
Cool.
Honored to be them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks again for having us. Means a ton.
Thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks y'all.
Yeah.
I know you
Thank
guys
you
got to probably
guys.
like head out here soon, but
Yeah, 2 more
Yeah.
beers.
Catch a
Don't
flight.
don't forget, the Sam Adams Bar in Austin does a beer and a shot for I think it's $10. You get a large beer and a shot of like
Is this at the airport?
Sam
or-
Adams?
like the Sam Adams Bar
Oh, at the airport.
at the
you mean?
airport.
Oh, I thought you meant somewhere else. I was like,
No, no.
before you go to the airport,
Yeah.
get a shot.
At the
get a
airport.
beer.
At the airport.
Nice
At
and
the-
loaded
While
before
you're
the flight.
Got to close the bender
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
Unless
quit
things
now.
have changed. It's been
Are you just trying to get us to hang out again tomorrow?
yeah. They're just trying to keep you around.
yeah, we missed
man.
our flight. Man. Like we got to that same Adams bar and we just didn't make it.
This isn't even
So close.
recording. We're just trying to hang out.
Yeah.
But can you can you do that if you're not taking a flight? Can you just go?
Just shows up sometimes.
Go through security real quick. Hey, I'm just here for the drink.
Oh, he's a regular. Yeah.
I don't have anything, no luggage, none of that. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to pass through.
Love it.
Thanks, dudes. You guys are awesome.
Excellent. Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
you guys rock.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Sign out.
Podcast complete.
Later.